In the previous video, we have seen how you can use information generated by the performance analyzer inside DAX Studio. But what if the client tool you're using is not Power BI? So you don't have the option of looking at the queries generated by Power BI. Or what if you need to monitor an analysis services engine and you don't have access to all the clients? You just want to read all the queries and then perform an analysis further. If that is the case, you can use the All Queries functionalities. All Queries traces all the queries which are executed by the server to which DAX Studio is connected. And it is useful when you have no better option to gather the queries executed to perform performance analysis. Just beware, it might generate a lot of queries on a busy server, so you will need to pay attention to the moment when you run it in order not to be overwhelmed by the amount of data that it generates. Let's see how it works together. Now, we were working on the query generated by Performance Analyzer, but we might not be all that lucky. So this is the model to which we are connected, and let's suppose I cannot use the Performance Analyzer, or simply I'm using Excel to connect to this same model. Let me get rid of it. Excel now starts, and I have a pivot table that is connected with the Power BI file to which DAX Studio is connected. So I have at the same moment both Excel and DAX Studio connected with my Power BI file. I'm not interested in Power BI. We're mainly interested in Excel and DAX Studio. This pivot table will run queries against the Power BI file, and I want to try to trace and to read all those queries. To do that, I need to enable the All Queries button. Let's do that. If I click on All Queries, you see that now at the bottom I have the All Queries panel, which right now is empty because Excel is not yet doing anything. But I can take the sales amount and drop it. I need to take the sales amount and drop it in the values. In order to retrieve this number, Excel had to run an MDX query. And if I go to DAX Studio, you see that I have here the MDX query which has been cached by DAX Studio. And if I go on and work with Excel, generating other query like slicing, putting the city on the rows, and maybe the, no, that's a bit too large, the occupation on the columns, I now have generated a pivot table. And if I go in DAX Studio, you see that I have all the queries that have been executed here. As it happened earlier, I can just double click on any of these queries and the query will appear in my code. I can look at the content of the query just to check that it is MDX. This is an MDX query which has been cached from Excel connected to the Power BI file. Keep in mind that you are not forced to use only Power BI. The same technique works if you are connected to an analysis services engine. In that case, you connect DAX Studio to analysis services, Excel, or whatever else client. To analysis services, you enable trace all queries, and then you start gathering information about all the queries that are being executed. For each query, you have information which are extremely useful. You have the start time, the type of the query, the duration, and that is probably the most relevant part, because if you are doing this job, it is likely you are interested in analyzing performance of the query. So you search for the worst one, then you double click, you put it in your editor, and you start the process of optimizing it. Now, optimizing it requires skills, requires being able to read and understand the query plan, server timings, and all the information that DAX Studio offers you. But trace all queries is one of the most important features if you cannot rely on Power BI and its performance analyzer.